So first of all, that password for your this I have uploaded your the lectures, and the password is BC 312, which is the subject code underscore PD. Okay, and today we will be having our class for 20 minutes, and then we will have a short quiz. Okay, and for 30 minutes, so you have, I think, 25 questions are there, and it's MCQ based. Okay, so we'll just have a 15-20 minutes class, and then we will go for the short quiz. Okay, so let us start our today's class. So before we start our today's class, in the last class we have seen that what is the fermentation, what are the different products of the fermentation. Some fermentation have, for example, the biomass or the microbial cells for, as a product. Some have the enzymes, some have the metabolites, and we have seen what is the difference between a primary metabolite and a secondary metabolite, right? So this is the difference between the there are two, and that different basic difference is at the what growth stage these particular products or metabolites are produced. Okay, and then we have another fourth type, which is where we add a particular compound to the fermenter system, and then that is being actually converted into some value-added products. Okay, and that conversion is being catalyzed by the microbial systems that is present within the fermenter. So the examples are some of the steroids, antibiotics, okay, and some of the hormones and so on. So these are the different range of the products. Then we have seen what is the chronological development of the fermentations. Like it started with the very basic food-based products such as the alcohols, vinegars. Okay, and then it shifted, for example, towards the baker's yeast, lactic acid, citric acid, to the chemicals which are used in the industries. And then it came towards the antibiotics, the medicinal part. Then it came, for example, single cell proteins, which is used as a feedstock, for example, for the animals, and also some of because they contain very high rich in the protein. So that is because of that the single cell proteins are used as a food for the space explorations, and then much more. So these 2 points are remaining. We have discussed, I guess, till the point number 3, and we have seen that how means there is a development is taking place both as in the down or in the horizontal as well as the vertical level. So in the vertically, we have seen how the value-added products are developed. So initially, the alcohol vinegars are the low-value products. Okay, and they were produced in very high volume. Okay, and slowly we can see that how the fermentations have produced, suppose the antibiotics, and then we are having this suppose this type of monoclonal antibodies, okay, or some sort of a heterologous proteins. So in this type of fermentation are generally are very high value products are produced. Okay, and the volume that is produced are generally low volume. Okay, so this has been the development in the vertical column, and if you see in the case of the horizontal development, the development in terms of the types of the reactor systems. Okay, so the vessels that are being developed. Earlier, it was just wooden barrels. Okay, still now, some of the alcohol fermentations, if you see in the brewery industries, are using this type of wooden barrels just to preserve, because the wooden barrels they add different types of additives into that, and that gives some sort of a flavor or some sort of a particular desired characteristics to the alcohols that they are that those companies are producing, and they have their own trademarks for that. So because of that, still some of the fermentation industries, especially the wine and the breweries, they are using the alcohols, means they are using the wooden based traditional vessels. But along with that development of like the steel vessels, glass vessels, and along with the different other components like addition of an air spurger to maintain the means the controlled environment of the oxygen and the mechanical stirring, and along with that where you have now the mechanically aerated vessels where, for example, we are having the aseptic conditions or sterilized conditions, right? So you know that whenever you are doing any bioprocess, you have to maintain the sterility. That means there should not be any contaminations of any other microorganisms. Okay, then there are vessels now which can work in the pressure cycles, and the pressure jet vessels come. Okay, so which overcomes the heat and gas transfer, these gas exchange problems that are there generally in the fermenters. Because in any particular bioreactor you are designing, you need to have very high heat exchange capacity. Okay, that heat transfer should be very high. The mass transfer should be high, very high. The mass transfer between the components, and also, so for example, the mass transfer between the oxygen or the gas bubbles that are being released in the fermenter with the growth media components. So we have seen these developments in the vessel. We have seen how the process control has developed. Okay, how the culture methods. We have seen there are three culture methods. One is the batch type, second is the fed batch type, and third is the continuous one. So we have gone through the details of these three types of fermenters. Okay, in detail, like what is the difference. And in the case of the continuous bioreactors, most of the bioreactors are called as a perfusion bioreactor. So there is a difference between a continuous reactor which is used in any chemical process and continuous bioreactors. So that's why the continuous bioreactors are generally termed as the perfusion bioreactors, because in the perfusion bioreactors what is happening means when you are taking out the product, you have the product plus the biomass, right? So we have already discussed in last class, we have the product plus the biomass. The biomass is nothing but the cells that are there, the live cells that are growing within the fermenter. So that product is removed, and the whatever the biomass is there is actually returned back to the bioreactor, so that the overall cell concentrations, the concentration of the cells are always increasing. Okay, so that's why these type of bioreactors, the continuous bioreactors, are generally termed as the perfusion bioreactors. Okay, so this have we have looked into that. And what we have means, in the what we are remaining was the point number 4 and the point number 5. Okay, so we have seen how, for example, that in the case of the process controls, we have started using this type of pH and oxygen electrodes, which we can sterilized. But along with means if you see the modern bioreactors, so what is happening is, suppose in the bioreactor we generally have different probes that are attached. Okay, so we have a temperature probe. We have a temperature probe, for example. You have a pH probe. We have a oxygen probe. Okay, so now, for example, all the process parameters, the temperature, pH, and so like this, actually there are 10, 12 different probes are there. So I'm, for example, taking an example of two. So you have the temperature probe, okay, and you have the pH probe, and you have the oxygen probe. Now these probes are actually connected with each other. And how means overall, if you see that how it is going, how these parameters are interrelated with each other. Suppose the solubility of an suppose when you are sparging oxygen gas to the aeration device, aerator device from the bottom of the tank, and suppose your impeller is not rotating. Impeller is in the now suppose that RPM of the impeller is 0. Okay, so what will happen? The bubbles will go through this channel. Okay, it will rise above the bioreactor, and it will, these bubbles will break at the top. Okay, but suppose you are increasing the RPM of the impeller to suppose 10 RPM. So what will happen? And it starts rotating. So it will try to efficiently mix these bubbles, and the bubbles generally will distribute uniformly within the bioreactor. Okay, and that will lead to the efficient mixing of this oxygen gas with the media components as well as the cells that are present within the bioreactor. So when this is happening, what will happen is the efficient means efficient transfer of, for example, now you're having a heating jacket. Okay, so at condition time t is equal to 0, and when the RPM is 0, the transfer of the heat across this media and across the jacket will be lower. Okay, but once you are having at time, suppose t is equal to 1 hour, where you are having a 10 RPM and you have a better mixing, the heat transfer across the walls and the media components will be improved. So in this case, the heat, because of the improved heat transfer, the temperature, suppose you have set the temperature of the bioreactor in suppose 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, so it will, if heat transfer is good, so this temperature will be reached very soon, immediately. So you can see all these parameters are actually interlinked, and like this, suppose in bioreactors there are 10 to 12 different sensors. Okay, and each and every sensor parameter is linked with each other. So it is very difficult, for example, to take the decision or optimize the parameters so that you are getting the higher yield and the higher product formation. So for those type of things, you generally have a closed control loop. Means you have the linked control loops where the sensors as well as these devices are linked. Okay, and they are governed by some of the statistical approaches, like you have the ANN, that artificial neural network, and these days we are having, for example, more modern advancements of AI and all those things, where this output of these different sensors are being governed by this type of process, this type of statistical approaches, and the decision is taken by the system, so that the product quality and the product yield is optimized for the maximum. Okay, so we have this type of things. These are some of the modern means additional advancements. As we are going for the technological advancements, we have bioreactors which are more automated. Okay, and the bioreactors can now, for example, by themselves optimize the adequate parameters during the fermentation, so that the highest yield of the product or the desired targeted product is going. Because one of the important thing with the bioreactors, which we will discuss, that in these bioreactors, means it is a time variant process. Whatever the product you are having, the product is producing depending on a time. Now, with time, the cell concentration is also increasing, and also, for example, the substrates. Initially, you have the glucose substrate. The substrate, for example, maybe, for example, in the case of the fed batch, it is constant with time, but for example, the batch, it is decreasing with time. So all these parameters, the product formation, the biomass formation, and the substrate formation, they are a variant of time. And suppose, for example, if we take the example of this biomass concentration, so what is happening? The cell concentration are increasing with time, and when the cell concentrations are increasing with time, what is happening? The viscosity and the density of the solution is also going to increase with time. So you can see that all the parameters are variants of time, and overall, if you see the process of a fermenter, what is going on inside the bioreactor, it leads to a more complexity and complex phenomena. Okay, so to solve those issues, generally those type of statistical approaches are used, and we get the maximum yield and maximum product. Okay, using this type of ANN and AI approaches. Then if you see the strain selection, they are basically on the genetic engineering techniques and on the rDNA technology, where we take a particular foreign gene of your interest, and then we insert in the particular microorganisms, and we grow the microorganisms, okay, to produce the desired product. So this is what, if you see the overall chronological development, and our studies on means our studies will be focused on this type of means on these things only, where we will look into the products, different biochemical products produced, and then we will look into details of each and every processes, the vessels, the bioreactor, the process control, the culture methods, how the quality is controlled, and how the stains are developed, the different techniques that we have talked. So we will go into details and understand each and every processes. So anyone has any questions or doubts in this part? Okay, anyone? So if not, then I guess I think in 10:20 your this quiz will start, and so you have, I guess,